Oh, welcome to Ole Walls House. It's me. It's your man. It's your main man. It's Ole Walls, and I'm back with you, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 154 coming your way. Got a fun show. We got a lot of good NFL stuff to talk about. We got some baseball trades and happenings. We have college football is in a little bit of a little dead period here, just for 1 week. We had Army Navy. We'll chat about. Also, we got Carolina basketball. We got college basketball back, and in general, it was that first Saturday of college basketball to talk about. We got the Flyers, and of course, as always, my passing thoughts. Before we get to any of that, I just want to first of all say thank you to everybody. I appreciate your support so much, so thank you. Beyond that, I just want to say, if you guys could, you know the deal, the housekeeping's here. Rate, review, comment, subscribe, and share. That would be very helpful. And check out the Full Range podcast, part of the Ole Walls House podcast network. My man MJ runs that. I was just on with him this past week to discuss top 5 Christmas movies. Spoiler alert, Die Hard's number 1. All right, let's get into the show. NFL Week 15. Let's start with my Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers back in the winner's circle, ladies and gentlemen. Bouncing back from a tough loss last week against the Detroit Lions. I told you last week I wasn't totally demoralized by what happened. And the first half this week made me feel good. The second half, not so much. We came out in the first half and just committed to giving Josh Jacobs the ball. I believe on the first drive, I made a note here. He touched it 9 of 10 plays as the Packers just marched it right down the field. And it was beautiful. They got another touchdown in the first quarter. Just bully ball in it, right down the field. Romeo Doubs got one about 4 or 5 yards outside the end zone with hands on him already and just bullied his way into the end zone. That was awesome to see. Doubs ends up with 2 touchdowns, ends up catching one late in the game to kind of put it away after the Seahawks just kind of kept fucking hanging around. And the Packers couldn't put him away. And they just couldn't put him away. And, after those first 2 touchdown drives in the first quarter, there was not a touchdown again by the Packers until that fourth quarter touchdown with 5 minutes left. So they scored a touchdown with just under 2 minutes left in the first quarter and then didn't score one again until the fourth quarter. And, as much as I was optimistic coming out of last week, this gives me a little pause about this team again. It's like, man, you got to finish these teams off. You're up 20-3 at halftime. Put this thing away. Because it was a little bit of a game in the fourth quarter all of a sudden. It's 20-6, it's 23-6 in the third quarter, but then they score a touchdown, and it's 23-13. And then all of a sudden, if they score another touchdown, it's 23-20. And thank God, Geno Smith decided to get picked off in the end zone. That was helpful. Valentine picks him off in the end zone right at the end of the first half. That was in the danger zone of touchdown, half ends. They get the ball coming out, touchdown to start the game half. And at that point, it would have been, that would have been 17. So it would have been 17-10. Would have had a chance because that was, it was still relatively early. We ended up going down and getting a field goal as time expired. Weird play clock decision there. There was like a point where there was like 43 seconds on the clock. By the time they could have kind of got to the line, it was 33 seconds. And then they didn't snap it till like 20 seconds. And it just felt like a lot of time was wasted for no reason at all. I don't know exactly what that was about, but it happened. The field goal ends up happening. But either way, that could have been a little nasty. We did miss. Oh, we did. And this was when it got a little weird. There was 13 minutes and Love missed Doubs wide open in the end zone. And then Josh Jacobs fumbled on the next play. And then the Seahawks scored in under 2 minutes. And then we did the We did my favorite. You got to gain a couple yards. We're going inside handoff out of shotgun on fourth down. But a gentleman who was making his return, he'd been out for a couple games. Edgerrin Cooper had himself a day, ladies and gentlemen. He got a sack on like the first drive to kind of finish it off, and then he gets that interception in the big moment. It was a good return for him. And then Dobbs' catch on to finalize the to kind of put it into the put the game away was impressive. I will say Jordan Love didn't look great. I thought like he just was missing some throws, but 20-27, 229, 2 TDs, didn't turn it over again. Didn't turn it over. Okay. Didn't turn it over. 26 fucking carries for Josh Jacobs. They really bit down on the run hard after that first quarter. Weren't really allowing Josh Jacobs to beat him anymore. They're like, you're going to beat us some way. It ain't going to be that way, was kind of the decision made. Where was this stat? So the Packers scoring the touchdown on each of their first two possessions. That was the first time they'd done it this year. And it was the first time scoring touchdowns on back-to-back drives to start a game since versus Kansas City week 13 of last season. Oh, mama. Not exactly what we want to see. We want to be able to get out there and score twice quickly. But, you do what you can. You do what you can. Next week for the Green Bay Packers, Monday Night Football, the New Orleans Saints, who don't seem to be too good. Elsewhere, let's start on Thursday night. A real barn burner of a game, but very impactful for the playoff race. The Los Angeles Rams, again, I cannot emphasize barn burner enough, scored 9, count them 9, fourth quarter points to take down the San Francisco 49ers. Not a single touchdown was scored. One field goal in the first quarter, one field goal in the second quarter, one more field goal in the third quarter, and then those 3 fourth quarter field goals. Just abysmal performance. Total yards by San Francisco, 191, 128 through the air, just 63 on the ground. Brock Purdy, 14 of 31, 142, and 1 interception. Purdy Pumpkin Watch? Is it back? Is the Purdy Pumpkin Watch back? With the Rams, couple that with the Seahawks loss on Sunday night. The Rams are now in the playoffs, 8-6. Really the only, we'll swing back to it, but really the only playoff race going on is the division winners in the NFC. And beyond that, there's not a whole lot of options for teams out there outside of the Colts with an outside chance. But again, we'll swing back. Commanders, they get a win. They survived the Saints. The Saints had a chance to go for 2. They do not get it at the end of the game. Spencer Rattler had to actually come in and led the Saints down the field to that point. But alas, they were unable to pull that off. The Chiefs, they get the win over the Browns, but that is, not the talk of the day. I don't know if there's been any more updates on Mr. Mahomes. Here we go. Like 6 minutes ago. Patrick Mahomes diagnosed with high ankle sprain, considered week to week. It is possible that Mahomes could practice this week. The Chiefs, they play on Saturday this week. They play the Texans on Saturday and then play on the following Wednesday on Christmas Day. So they got 6 days, 4 days. So they got 3 games in 10 days coming up here. Unlikely he plays in the Saturday matchup, but he's expected to be fine in the long term. Carson Wentz will get the start. In the past, backup QBs played well in Mahomes' absence. Cool, don't care. So yeah, Mahomes out. But again, the Chiefs are, they're already in the playoffs. They're 13-1. Like, what's it matter? 9-5 from the Broncos. They're looking to still hold the number 1 seed. The Bills are 11-3, and the Steelers are 10-4. Texans 9-5, can't get there. So I mean, they got a couple game leads. So I mean, I wouldn't bet on him being there against the Ravens, but hey, maybe he's like, hey, I'm playing. Just deal with it. Never know. If it were me, you're not playing against the Ravens. You can maybe play on Christmas Day against the Steelers. Maybe. Again, I say maybe. Bengals get a win. I think they're technically still alive in the playoffs yet. What is their Bengals playoff chances? Bengals can still make the playoffs. This crazy scenario plays out over the final 3 weeks. They have to win out, obviously. The Broncos or the Chargers have to lose out. Okay, interesting. The Dolphins need to lose one more game. The Colts need to lose one more game. I mean, that's not the most absurd thing I've ever seen. The Broncos or the Chargers have to lose out. Would be pretty crazy. They play each other on Thursday. So you're going to find out which one it is. The Broncos play the Chargers, the Bengals, and then the Chiefs in Week 18. Chiefs in Week 18 is going to be a tough one because they could be sitting a lot of guys. Obviously, you as the Bengals get to beat them. So you're really rooting for the Chargers on Thursday because the Broncos play the Patriots and the Raiders. I mean, the Chargers play the Broncos, the Patriots, the Raiders. So, if they get by the Broncos, I mean, that's woofda. Not tough at all. Texans beat the Dolphins. I believe that all but eliminates the Dolphins. Let's see what the Dolphins playoff scenario is while we're at it. Dolphins playoff chances. Show me the hammer. Here we go. I think they were pretty low percentage. The Dolphins appeared cooked after 2-6. Just tell me. They would need to hope the Broncos lose their remaining games while Miami would need to win theirs. That doesn't consider the Colts and Chargers, who would also need to lose at least 2 games to prevent tiebreakers from coming into effect. And then the Bengals are right there with a 6-8 record. That actually seems somehow worse than the Bengals. I mean, it's a different, website writing it for you, but who knows? Ravens pummel the Giants. The Jets get a win. I had the Jets -3 and was expecting to get absolutely fucked at the end of that game. Jets got it down to the goal line because Devontae Adams just couldn't get himself in there. But the Jets end up going for the touchdown, not just draining the clock and kicking the field goal to win by 3. So we're live. Cowboys beat the Panthers. Who cares? Broncos beat the Colts. That was, like I said, devastating for the Colts. Buccaneers lay it on the Chargers. That gets them back up to the 3 seed. Currently slated to play the Packers. Pats Cardinals. The Cardinals get a win. They stay alive. They're still in it out in the NFC West. They are a game back of the Rams and Seahawks. I don't know what the tiebreakers are, but they're still alive. They're not out of it by any chance, and there'll be some pivotal games coming up. Eagles beat the Steelers. The Eagles in an absolutely just dominating second half performance. Here we go. Eagles ended the game with a drive of 10 minutes and 29 seconds and held the ball for 24 minutes and 10 seconds in the second half. Steelers only had it for 5:50. Just dominated the ball in the second half. Only scored 10 points through all of that. Only scored 10 points. Saquon Barkley, just 65 yards. They really kind of bottled him up, but Jalen Hurts had himself a nice day. 25 of 32 for 290. What the team stats break out? Yeah, 401 total yards for the Eagles, just 163 total yards for the Steelers. I think I heard that the Steelers have not won in Philadelphia since like 1965. 1965. Oh, mama. Oh, I forgot to say a couple of things. First, Matt LaFleur 0-6 on challenges this year. Aaron Rodgers completed only 3 passes in the first half of their game against the Jaguars. And the Boomer Collar, Many of you remember I've talked about the Boomer collar with the Packers bow tie on it. On Sundays, when Boomer puts the collar on Sunday, the Boomer collar still undefeated. Day's not on Sunday. We got a Thursday night loss to the Lions. I've mentioned there have been some other things. Collar went on too early. Collar didn't go on at all. But when the collar goes on Sunday morning and Boomer wears that thing around, the Packers are undefeated. Usually when he gets in bed with us, we pop the collar off. You can bet your ass. Laying in bed last night watching that Packer game, the Boomer collar stayed on for the remainder of that game until that game hit zeros. That collar stayed on just to make sure. Just to make sure. And then I think the only game I haven't spoke about is Bills-Lions. And, oh boy, what a game that thing was. Bills out early. Lions crawl back. Bills get out big. Lions keep fighting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 scores in the fourth quarter alone. Add the 3 more in the third quarter. 9 second half scores to go along with the 5 in the first half. Just an absolutely absurd game. And there's a couple of takeaways here I think you can take. First off, Jared Goff played his ass off. 38 of 59, 494 yards and 5 touchdowns. Here, there was a stat on that. Hang on, we can find that. I took a picture of it. I actually took a picture. I know. I saw it, and here we go. Before today, QBs with 5+ touchdown passes, no picks, and 380 pass yards or more were 22-0. And NFL QBs have a record of 109-8 all time when throwing 5+ touchdown passes with no picks. Because Chase Daniel tweeted, Jared Goff, 400+ passing yards, 4 TDs, 0 interceptions, but lose by double digits. How? Didn't end up losing by double digits. They got him back into it, and he ended up throwing another touchdown after that was said. But that Lions defense is shredded. It's just beat to hell. So that's not helpful. Not helpful at all. That's one way to explain it. The other way to explain it is the guy on the other side of the field is an absolute fucking animal, and his name is Josh Allen. And he went for 362 yards and 2 touchdowns through the air, and then he ran for 2 more touchdowns and 68 yards on the ground. And let me just read to you his starting receivers: Ty Johnson, Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, Khalil Shakir, James Cook, he's running back, Ray Davis, Mac Hollins, Curtis Samuel. That's his lineup of receivers, man. Josh Allen's the MVP this year. Some arguments could be made for Saquon Barkley. There is no bigger fall off than if you remove Josh Allen from a team, on any team in the NFL at all. He is doing it. He's incredible. And it's a little bit, it's too bad that the NFL MVP has just become the best quarterback, but it's just what it is at the moment. And Saquon was making a nice run for it, but Josh Allen the last couple weeks, what did he end up going for fantasy points? Probably about another 50 piece. 43 of them after 58 last week or something like that, or 52, 54 last week. Just unreal. Absolutely unreal. So Josh Allen is your MVP in my mind. I want to point something out here. I have another good picture. So O.J. Simpson is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, considered one of the best running backs. 61 rushing touchdowns in his career. Terrell Davis had 60. I hope this is true, but this says Josh Allen has 62 rushing touchdowns. He's a 28-year-old quarterback with 190 passing touchdowns and a couple receiving touchdowns too. Does he really have 62 rushing touchdowns? All right. Pro Football Reference. God, the Pro Football, Pro Baseball, the PFR pages, PBR, Pro Baseball, the reference pages, absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Can we see rushing, and receiving? Yeah, that was a Tuesday this week. He has 62 touchdowns, 64 touchdowns rushing and receiving now. Does it break it out into strictly? Oh, no, that's rushing. Yeah, that's rushing. 64 rushing touchdowns. And two receiving. Oh, my God. What a fucking lunatic. What a lunatic. As I read down his list of receivers, it's a little bit of the Aaron Rodgers story with Green Bay when he was really cooking and he was awesome. And his like best receivers were like Greg Jennings and Jordy Nelson. It's like, yeah, those guys were good. Like, but were they that good or was Rodgers that good? And granted, they didn't leave till they were old, but they didn't really do anything when they left. We got Bears Vikings tonight. Vikings have clinched. Falcons Raiders. That does have some playoff significance. Let's get it on the screen, ladies and gentlemen. The NFL playoff picture. As you see here, we have 4 teams in the AFC already clinched. We have in the NFC 3 teams already clinched. But then if you look at the odd, the Packers are all but clinched, 99%. I think they just can't lose out and then have a bunch of other weird shit happen. The Commanders in there at 82%. I think they're almost like a win or two away themselves. So the race is the NFC South and the NFC West. The NFC West, there's 3 teams really in it. Seahawks, Cardinals, and then the Rams. The Niners, it's going to be tough for them. They're going to have to win out, like you see, playoff percentage under 1%. And then over in the NFC South, the Falcons. This is it. I mean, their percentage goes from 10% if they lose tonight, 35% if they win. It's a must-win game for them. And then we talked a little bit about the Dolphins and Bengals over here on the NFC side or the AFC side. The Colts, that loss really hurt, especially with the Chargers losing. They could have been 7-7, just 1 back. Now they remain 2 back. Going to be tough for them. So not a lot of like playoff intrigue coming down on teams that are going to make it. I think our playoff intrigue is going to really be more of what kind of matchups are we getting. Chargers Broncos is a playoff teams matchup. That one obviously has some significance to the Bengals. We talked about Texans Chiefs. Again, possible playoff matchup. Both of those teams are in. They're working on seeding right now. The Texans at 9-5, Steelers at 10-4, Bills at 11-3. They could sneak up. Again, only the 1 seed's getting the bye. So I mean, it's just seeding. You want to get up higher and see if you can host a second round game as well. But Steelers Ravens. That is a playoff implications one because that is going to be for the division. Steelers 10-4, Ravens 9-5. I believe Steelers won that game earlier in the year. So Steelers really, really looking to bring that one home. That's a Christmas Saturday before Christmas because Steelers, Ravens, Texans, Chiefs all playing Saturday. We'll all flip and play Wednesday and a little mixy-matchy of that one. I believe the Steelers go play the Chiefs the Ravens play the Chiefs, right? Nope, the Steelers play the Chiefs and the Ravens play the Texans on Christmas Day. But we're getting out ahead of ourselves. Lions, Bears, nothing really there. Giants, Falcons could matter depending on what the Falcons do. If the Falcons lose tonight, it really doesn't mean anything. Cardinals, Panthers, matters. Rams, Jets, matters. Eagles, Commanders. Eagles would like to keep winning. Commanders would rather, lock up their thing. So that's going to matter a little bit for the boys. Bengals, Browns. Bengals obviously got to keep winning, but that's kind of down in the dumps. Vikings, Seahawks. That's one. Now that the Vikings are chasing that division themselves, they're chasing the number 1 seed in the NFC. If they get to 12-2, it's 3 teams tied. 3 teams tied. And that's going to be big for the Vikings. I mean, they're going to go from either hosting and possibly being on a bye to the 5th seed and having to go to LA at the moment or Tampa Bay, give or take, however that falls out, or, any of those teams that kind of sneak themselves in there. So that's crucial there for them. Oh gosh, where was I? Packers, Saints. Packers obviously need to lock one up. 49ers, Dolphins, 2 teams kind of fighting for it. Bucks, Cowboys Sunday night. How did they not flex that out? Bucks, Cowboys? What could have flexed in instead? 49ers, Rams, Jets, maybe? I mean, there's not a ton of Ravens, Steelers, Ravens, unless CBS locked that one down. But all right, that's all I got, I think, for the NFL. I don't know if I probably won't make it to the end of these games tonight, especially with Falcons Raiders, unless something happens, but doubtful. Let's keep moving. All right, gonna wrap all the other sports kind of into one here. Let's start with the Flyers. What do you say? I said the Flyers needed a 4-point week last week to keep it rolling, and that's what they got, man. Went out and beat the Blue Jackets 5-3. Big Meech, couple assists in that game. Just really gave up some late goals for that to seem a little closer than it was. Blue Jackets stink. Next up, they had the Red Wings, who again also stink, and again got the job done. Couple goals from TK, all 4 goals from Scott Lawton, a couple assists from TK. Scott Lawton just filling it for us, boys. Noah Cates, Grant Hathaway, Travis Sanheim all tack on some assists. I think that's the first pointless game for Big Meech in a while. And then, Saturday kind of ran into a tough team in the Minnesota Wild. But I said, just get to 4, stay in it. And that's what they did. They did their job. They stayed in it. And so they're currently tied for the final wild card spot in the East, tied with the Ottawa Senators, 2 points back of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, the Lightning have played 3 less games, so they're really more than 2 points back. Senators just 1 less game, so they just lose one. We're right there. Very similar week this week in that the Blue Jackets and the Red Wings are right back on the schedule, going to Detroit on Wednesday night. In the middle on Thursday, the Kings come to town. The Kings are a good team. Kings are a very good team. 18-9-3, pretty darn good. Second place in the Pacific Division, 39 points. So that's the tough one, sandwiching the Red Wings and the Blue Jackets. So at Detroit Wednesday, back-to-back, come home to get the Kings in town, and then the Blue Jackets on Saturday before a Monday matchup with the Penguins. I cannot speak today, apparently, is the thing. Just got a notification. Sacramento State is in discussions to make Mike Vick the next quarterback at their school. The Hornets, who currently play at FCS level, plan to move up to FBS with a new stadium and currently have $50 million in NIL funding. Sacramento State has been ramping up donations in hopes of getting a spot in the Pac-12 conference, with a target of raising $50 million earlier this year. Vic has no NFL. Can we talk more? I don't care about Mike Vick. I mean, that's cool and all, but Sacramento State was 3-9 this season and played out of the Big Sky Conference in FCS, old 1AA. Sacramento State racked up $50 million in NIL and are trying to revive the Pac-12 single-handedly? Okay. Interesting. That is something. Let's talk college football then while we're on it. Navy beats Army. Army, unfortunately, not going to have a bowl game, I don't think, unless something's changed. But last I saw, their bowl game had been canceled because, Marshall has opted out of the Independence Bowl amid transfer portal exodus. Oh, wait, LA Tech to replace Marshall in bowl versus Army. Oh, okay, cool, good. These kids from Army deserve. Louisiana Tech will replace Marshall as an opponent for Army in the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl. It was announced Saturday. Oh, good. I missed that somehow. That's good. Yeah, Marshall had 36 players in the transfer portal, including 29 scholarship players and 17 players on the team's 2-deep setup for the Sun Belt title game. All 3 Thundering Herd quarterbacks who played this season are in the portal, including starter Braylon Braxton. Defensive end Mike Green, Sun Belt Player of the Year, declared for the NFL draft. A number of Marshall staff members have also left, some joining Huff at Southern Miss. That must be their coach. So just hasta luego there. Everybody's out, so Army will still get a game. That's good. Navy takes them down. I think it was the most wins ever by an Army-Navy team. It is cool that they've kind of both gotten back a little more to like the option, triple option thing. I mean, the Army-Navy games were wild when they both just ran straight, legit triple option all game, every game. Those were awesome. They've expanded the playbook a little bit lately. Not a ton. They've kind of come back a little bit. So that's always fun. College football, other transfer portal note. Bo Prabula, who is Penn State's backup quarterback, he's also not just the backup quarterback. I mean, he comes into the game in critical moments and has some rushing touchdowns, and it comes in at moments that they're really using him in big moments in the game. Can I say moments one more time? Moments. But yeah, he's gone. He's transferring. He's entering the transfer portal before the playoff game. You could say, like, get your kids that won't do that. But I mean, this is the world we live in. That's going to happen. Like, what do you want him to do? I mean, Drew Allar's going to be there for a couple more years. Kid wants to play. And the world of college football is the transfer portal. And so he's doing it, and he's doing it when he has to. And I'm sure it sucked. But I'm sure he looked at it and he thought, could play a couple more games here and then ride the bench all next year. Or I could go to a situation where I could play, maybe prove myself, maybe get to the NFL. I don't hate the kid for it. Don't hate the player, hate the game. But, I mean, it's a shitty situation, but it's just the world of college football, and it sucks. It sucks that kids get put in the position that they have to choose between playing in the playoffs and going, furthering themselves and their aspirations. And hey, maybe you want to sit there and say, well, the transfer portal just shouldn't exist. Fine. But it does. And it's fucked up the way it's set up. And you have kids transferring out before bowl games, and it's just weird, man. It's just weird. Let's slide over to some college basketball. Fun week of games for Carolina. Going to have to show themselves a little bit this week. On Tuesday night of the pod drop, we have the Florida Gators coming into town. Will they be chomping in Chapel Hill? And then Saturday, UNC will host UCLA. Are both those games actually at home, or is one of them a neutral court game? Let me take a peek. Tuesday. Charlotte Spectrum Center is the Tuesday game with Florida. Yeah, there we go. And let's see about Saturday. I think the Saturday game actually is a home game. I think that's a home and home they have set up. Nope, I couldn't have been more wrong. Madison Square Garden. That's stupid. I cannot stand that. Play those games on campus. It's so much better. Like when Carolina went to Kansas at the start of the year. So much better. They beat LaSalle over the weekend. Tough game. Tough game. We'll have more insights on the Heels kind of moving forward here as I watch more of the games. Now the games have some meaning to them. Is there anything else? Oh, speaking of North Carolina, Bill Belichick to Chapel Hill. Chapel Bill, Billy B to UNC. I was working on both of those. Billy B to UNC and Chapel Bill. I stole Chapel Bill. That was out in the universe, but I am fascinated. Absolutely fascinated to see what they do with Bill Belichick at North Carolina. It's fascinating to me how he's going to translate. He's like 75, but apparently he talks well to young people. This lady's not very old. She's like 25. He's obviously one of the best football coaches ever. How good is a question that has been asked. He wasn't very successful before Tom Brady. He wasn't very successful after Tom Brady. Will his thing work in the college ranks? Will his thing work with NIL and the transfer portal and all that? I am fascinated to see it. He made a very interesting explanation of what his program was going to be about on the Pat McAfee show, talking about how he's going to prepare them for the next level for college, from going from college to the pros, or from college football to something else. And it sounded like an approach of, we're going to get you ready for whatever's coming next. And if it's going to be the NFL, you're damn right you're going to be ready. Have to imagine there's some NIL money that could be found at North Carolina. Interesting. Very, very interesting. My head tells me this doesn't work, and he's out of there in a couple years. I don't want to say heart, because I don't think I've got a heart feeling for Bill Belichick, but my other thought is, I want to see this work. Like, I want to see Bill Belichick succeed. I have found Bill Belichick very interesting on when he goes on with Peyton Manning and Eli Manning on Monday Night Football, when he's been on Game Day, when he's been on Pat McAfee. I found him kind of engaging and interesting, actually, and kind of like gave me a new respect for him. So I'm very interested to see how this works out. Again, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's going to be right. And there's a lot of it that part of the deal was that his son is the coach in waiting. Little bit of a Bob Knight to Texas Tech feel to this. I'm intrigued. I'm very, very intrigued. Very intrigued. I want it to work. I don't know that it's gonna. I just don't know that it's gonna. Do I have any other sports things before we move on to passing thoughts? These two things kind of transcend both my sports and passing thoughts. So we'll do them next. We'll move over to passing thoughts. See you there. Time for some passing thoughts. There was more Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark was back in the news. I don't even know what. I've even thought about this in the time that I was almost going to talk about it to the time I'm talking about it now, like from recording my last segment like 30 seconds ago. But the owner of the Washington Mystics, a lady by the name of Sheila Johnson, who I believe most of her money comes from her husband who started BET. So, there's that. She said, "We have so much talent out there that there has been unrecognized. I don't think we can pin it on just one player." She went on to say that the whole WNBA should have been named League of the Year instead of Caitlin Clark being named Athlete of the Year. Just listen to this stat. 31% of the Mystics' total home attendance for the entire 2024 season came from the 2 games against Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. 31%. Now, I saw and this is why I've kind of circled back. I don't even know why I'm talking about it. Jesse Kelly tweeted, "The funniest part of all this public drama is every single one of these players is a money drain in a money drain league. They're arguing over who gets the most credit." It lost like $40 million this year. $40 million. I may make a rule for myself that I'm just never talking about it again. It's incredible. It's terrible. It's dumb. Here's the other sports one. The Haley D Golf. She's the lady who tried to kind of earn her way onto the PGA Tour. And that has been really shot down recently. Male to female transitioner came out with a post that said the LPGA driving distance leader is at 290 and 61 yards on average. The median LPGA driving distance is 259.29. My average driving distance is 250 yards. Somehow I am the one who is told I have an advantage over the other players and gets banned. What actual advantage is that? Because real stats and facts don't lie. Hey, just because you suck doesn't mean you don't have a built-in advantage. Men in general hit the ball longer than women, which then in turn lets them hit shorter clubs into the green, which are then in turn more accurate. I do not hit the ball as long as some of my other male friends. There are some women in the world who hit the ball longer than me. There are plenty of women in the world who are much better than me. But the fact of the matter is, the standard deviations read out pretty similarly. That big line comes up. Here's the median average of the women. Big line goes down, and then up comes the men. And there's always a separation. Just because you suck, or just because someone else is really good, doesn't discount all the other shit. One person sucking and one person being good at something do not discount mountains and mountains of facts and data. So don't try and fucking cherry pick the fact that you can't hit a fucking driver and say that you're disadvantaged. You're a dude trying to play on a women's tour. Fuck you. Men are more athletically gifted. They're bigger. They're stronger. Their lungs are bigger. There's more bone density. Fuck you. Okay. Felt like more of a passing thought segment to me when I considered that. Oh, what other dumb shit? Oh, Illinois is going to do a modification to a law beginning in 2025. The state will replace the term offender with justice impacted individual. Justice impacted individual. The term is popular among certain groups who say labeling someone an offender is dehumanizing. Well, don't be an offender. Criminal, I think, is even a better word. But justice impacted individual, that sounds like they've been wrongly done in. I hate the world. Hate the world. CNN. Was it CNN? CNN. ABC. ABC has to pay Trump $15 million as they're settling a defamation lawsuit and have to publicly apologize to Trump. That's because George Stephanopoulos had claimed that Trump was liable for raping E. Jane Carroll, which Trump then sued them. ABC will also pay $1 million to Trump for attorney fees, and then George Stephanopoulos deleted his X account. Bitch. This was a good one. Everybody has, what's it say? All real hoopers hooped with a ball like this before. It's like yeah, there you go. You can see it. That ball's old. It's all falling apart. It's like soft and slippery, but when your outdoor ball just gets the shit kicked out of it, and that's just kind of, what you got to deal with. Everybody's gone through that. Or if it's been like damp out and you got like a good ball, but you don't want to ruin the good ball when it's wet or like you shoveled the driveway. So you bust that old ball out. I'll tell you what, when those balls actually got a little wet, they got a little bit nicer to use because there was like a little tackiness to them. When they were dry, they were like real slick. And every once in a while, somebody would show up to you'd go to an open gym at like a YMCA, or like if someone had something set up at like a local high school, and someone would bring that ball with them and like roll it out and be like, here, we'll use this one. And everyone would be like, what the fuck? And then there was always like the one time that nobody else had a ball. Nobody else had a good ball, and you were stuck using that thing. And everyone's just trying desperately to not lose control of that ball left and right. Oh, here's another basketball one. NBA ratings are down 48% since 2012, and they're down 28% this year alone on ESPN. Ay caramba. Ay caramba. The UK has banned puberty blockers. Good to know. Good to know. Basketball, more basketball. The NCAA tournament expansion seems to be pretty much a foregone conclusion by the sounds of it. It seems that they're all going to be additional like play-in games that before the round of 64, not just like expand out the main tournament, if you will, but that's dumb. One more sports related thing. I saw this on an Instagram account, and I forget what it was, but they suggested that in all primetime games going forward, Thursday, Sunday, Monday night, Jameis Winston is the all-time backup quarterback for both teams. No matter if there's ever a quarterback that goes down, Jameis Winston becomes the quarterback. He steps in for that team, And the even better scenario is if both quarterbacks go down, Jameis Winston, all-time quarterback, he's just slinging it around for everybody. Double the interviews, more Jameis all the time. I cannot get enough of Jameis Winston right now. Cannot get enough. I love it. Oh, I'll tell you who I can get enough of. These two fucking ass clowns. Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell have both fallen down recently and have substantial injuries. And it's just because they're fucking old. Nancy Pelosi is 84. 84. Mitch McConnell, who was the Senate Republican leader as up until like 2 minutes ago, is 82. They're 84 and 82. They were born in World War II. Mitch McConnell was born in 1942, February of 1942. Nancy Pelosi was born in March of 1940. We haven't even entered World War II when Nancy Pelosi was born. Oh, she had replacement hip surgery while we're at it. How do we keep voting for these fucking ass clowns? They're 84 and 82. They're really fucking old. Imagine your grandparents. There's probably people out there listening to this that grandparents, they aren't even that old. Right? Because is that still possible? Maybe not at my age. Maybe some of the younger listeners. Maybe not. If grandparents. So say you're 30. Your grandparents had your parents at 20. They had you at 20. They could be 80, right? Yeah, probably more for the youngers. But there's probably, you imagine having your grandparents do that. Be like, we're gonna be public political officials. And you'd be like, Grandma, sit the fuck down. No, you're not. I'll be over for dinner on Sunday night, and I'll bring a nice casserole. You guys won't have to cook for the week. Instead, they're like, no, they're gonna run the country and fucking insider trade their way right to the top. Oh, I saw Dan Crenshaw getting all pissy that he wasn't allowed to. I don't fucking insider trade. There's anything we know less. Fuck off, man. Fuck off. Just no. Just don't. Just don't lie to me. Don't bullshit me. Like, we know what you're doing. Just at least fucking come up with something better than we don't know anything more. But sure, buddy. Sure. And I'll say right down. Oh, I said if the end of Rudy doesn't make you cry, you have no heart. I literally caught the last 5 minutes. Like, they came back from commercial and they're like, I have just realized what these chants are. It's about Rudy Rudiger. And then he gets the sack. He was offside, so allegedly. The Duke lacrosse accuser from back in like 2005 has finally come out and admitted she was lying. I went to the gym the other day. Rode the bike. I'm cleared. The seated bike. No, none of these. None of the air one. Rode the seated bike. No resistance. Rode that for like 25 minutes. Then did a bunch of like my leg workouts. My leg was sore as shit. It was good. Then lifted some upper body. Just did machine stuff, so it's kind of bitchy, but you got to start somewhere. Cool as the other side of the pillow. I don't know what. I was in the middle of almost falling asleep last night, and I flipped my pillow, and it was cool. And I thought, cool is the other side of a pillow. That is a great saying, and it's a great saying for a reason. I didn't even want to, but I got up and I reached out and I got my phone and I typed it into my notes because I was like, I want to remember that cool is the other side of the pillow is a great saying for a reason, because when you flip to that cool side of a pillow, it is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And I didn't want to forget that. So, all right, let's go close this thing down. Closing time, everybody. As always, just want to say thank you. I appreciate your support. So thank you. Could not do this without you guys. I can't say enough about the support. As always, comment, rate, review, share, subscribe, do the whole thing. Let everybody know Ole Walls House is the place to be. Back next week, trying to do something fun and a little different, trying to get a guest in, just trying to get some schedules right. Hopefully we can do it. Check out the Full Range podcast. I was just on there with MJ, along with Big Cat, Bill Gardner, and Jordan Clark. We broke down our top 5 favorite Christmas movies. I forgot to say I finally watched Die Hard. Christmas season it can begin. Hans has fallen. Merry Christmas, everybody. Die Hard is, in fact, a Christmas movie and the best Christmas movie. Back next week. Otherwise, till then, peace.